We're live. All right, folks. Good to see you today. Welcome to week 2 of the Emotional Mastery program that I've been running. Today we're going to talk about call reluctance and camera reluctance and explain where that comes from and what you can do to overcome it. I'm super excited about this. This is probably my favorite topic. I spend time on this every day. And let's get started. Alrighty, welcome. It is Friday, October 15th, if you can believe it. We're halfway through October, and today we're going to be talking about overcoming call reluctance and fear of the camera. Some of this is a little bit similar to what we talked about last week because there's common threads as to why we procrastinate and why we don't enjoy getting on the phone or in front of a camera. We're going to talk about that. As always, would love your comments and questions. And what's up? Hello to whoever just said what's up. I don't see who your name is, or apologize for that. So anyway, without any further ado, let's get rolling here. So bear with me 1 second here. I thought I had moved this to a place where I could look at it better, but I cannot. All right, cool. So let's roll here. So my name is Wally Russell. We talked about this, and I am the co-founder of Phone Sales Secrets. And Phone Sales Secrets, we basically spend time with salespeople and entrepreneurs, helping them overcome call reluctance, camera reluctance, self-sabotage, procrastination, perfectionism, imposter syndrome, and anything else that keeps them from using, from being successful on the phone or growing their business. For dang it, session EXPCon, no worries. We're going to go ahead and somebody said right here they wish they could be there. No big deal. This is recorded and it'll be on YouTube and we'll be here on Phone Sales Secrets. So I appreciate that, but we'll have that up for you soon. So no problem. Well, let's get rolling here. So like I kind of joke around, my job, here as a phone sales expert and somebody who cares greatly about people. I see my job not unlike that of the IRS, meaning the IRS's job is to make sure that you pay your taxes so that you can be a law-abiding citizen who contributes to the overall growth and safety of our country. If you want to be a successful salesperson, real estate, insurance, or anything else, you've got to prospect. There's just no way around it. I'm not saying you have to prospect hours and hours every day, all day long, but in order for you to grow your business, to make your business scalable, to put yourself in a position to replace yourself at some point, you must get on the phone. Now, I don't care if you've got an amazing online strategy to generate leads and you got people coming to the front door, you still have to get on the phone with them to get them to come to the front door to talk with you. So no matter what, you've got a prospect, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So, today, as with every time I do these presentations, we're going to talk about some things that are moderately uncomfortable, like a rock in your shoe. And, some of it's uncomfortable about me, and some of it's uncomfortable about what you're going to need to do if you want to create a better life for yourself as a professional salesperson. So just kind of take that for checking. Okay. A little bit about me. For those of you that don't know me, I did start Phone Sales Secrets in March of 2021. So May, June, July, August, October. So we're about a year and a half into this right now. And I've had the great fortune of working with hundreds of people over the last year and a half and helping them overcome the challenges they experience that keeps them from getting on the phone, keeps them from getting a video camera. People who are able to get on the phone, make sales, do business, create better relationships, stop self-sabotage, stop procrastination, stop perfectionism, and I love that, and I'm excited to share some of those strategies that I use with them with you today. So that's pretty exciting. In addition to that, I've been in the business of real estate since 1998. I had the good fortune of being connected with a great real estate agent when I got into the business. I sold 72 houses my first 14 months in the business, and then went on to help build one of the most successful coal banker franchises in the early mid 2000s in New Hampshire. Also, I've been doing life and business coaching since 2001. I need to change that. It's actually now 40,000 live one-on-one calls, group, and in-person training sessions. So I've had the great fortune of working with some of the most amazing people and incredible real estate agents across the United States and Canada. And it's really what allowed me to have been doing this now for the last 21 years. If you haven't figured out yet, all of these pictures are of me. I just wanted to do something a little different just to kind of mix it up. So, I'm not doing the same old biography. I published my book, Tragic Hero Picking Up the Pieces. Actually, it was in September of 2022. I don't know why I thought they changed that. So if you haven't seen it, that's it. Pretty excited about it. You folks were kind enough to buy it and help make it a bestseller in 4 different categories on Amazon. So thank you so much for that. I greatly appreciate it. I've been a phone sales expert since 1998, specializing in helping people prospect over the phone, handle objections, do some progressive profiling, which is building relationships with people over the phone, neuro-linguistic programming, inside sales hiring, onboarding training, and just about everything related to dealing with the phone. So I'm hoping I can impart some of that wisdom with you today and give you some strategies to help you become better on the phone. And then lastly, earlier this year, I was nominated as one of the Success 125, which is one of the 125 people in the real estate industry that get results. So I've had a lot of great success, been super fortunate, very blessed. And I'm hoping that what I've learned over the last, 2+ decades, that I'll be able to share some of that with you today and give you some insight onto why you might not be able to get on the phone, or why you have trouble, maybe even getting in front of a camera to record yourself. So what is call reluctance and how do we overcome it? So I think the best way to do this is to kick this off is to watch this YouTube video here. You should be able to hear it, but let me just tell me if this has ever happened to you. So.
Hello?
Hi, Miss Davis. This is Ron calling you from the Daily News. How you doing this morning?
It's Davis, and I'm not interested.
Okay, I'm sorry to bother you. Have a nice day.
Wait a minute. Wait, that's your pitch? You consider that a sales call?
Well,
I get a call from you guys every Saturday, and it's always the same half-assed attempt. If you guys want to close me, you should sell me.
Alright.
All right, start again.
Okay. Hi. This is Ron from the Daily News. How are you doing this morning?
What do you want?
It's not what I want, sir. It's what you want.
Ron, now we're talking. All right, what are you selling me?
I'm offering you a subscription to the Daily News at a substantially reduced price. We're trying to reach out to people that have never had home delivery before.
Right, so basically you're saying that everybody else who already has a subscription is getting on this one?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, well, I can handle that. So tell me, why should I buy your paper? I mean, why shouldn't I get the Times or the Voice,
Well, the Village Voice is free, sir. So if you want it, you should certainly pick it up. But the Daily News offers you something no other paper can. A real taste of New York. We have the best features, more photographs than any other daily in New York, and we have the most reliable delivery in the city. Now, what do you think?
You know what I think, Ron? I think that was a sales call. Good job, buddy.
So you're going to buy a subscription?
No, I already get the Times.
So, unfortunately, that is what happens to a lot of folks. Oh, here we always do this here. Sorry. So, unfortunately, this is what happens to a lot of folks. So, today we're going to talk about why using the phone is still important. 10 keys you need to know to be successful on the phone, and we're really going to dig into what keeps people from being successful on the phone. Like that, the end of that call there, the rejection. Just a little bit of a hint there to give you an idea that is that fear of rejection, embarrassment, and whatnot. That fear of not being accepted is kind of what kills people when getting on the phone. But let's just dig right in here and let's kind of jump in. So, interestingly enough, a lot. And by the way, for those of you that are under 25, that's LL Cool J, right? This line right here is from his from the beginning of "Mama Said Knock You Out," said "Don't call it a comeback." Just feel a little silly when I made this. But here's the thing. A lot of people are like, oh, millennials don't want to answer the phone. Nobody's picking up the phone today. Well, the fact of the matter is that the phone is still a very valid means of communication. And not only that, folks still want to talk to somebody when it comes time to making a purchase. So if you can see the numbers here, right, almost a quarter of the people, millennials, Gen X, and boomers, as my son calls me, and I'm not even a boomer, but the baby boomers, you can see that almost a quarter of each of those people categories, want to have some sort of communication with somebody before a purchase is made. So it's amazing that it's still an eye, and the folks that are older, and even the folks that are younger, are still 56 over, baby boomer up 29%. Here's another thing, right? Before buying a big ticket item, for example, one that costs over $1,000, which houses, insurance, cars, big ticket items, almost 50% overall of the people want to talk to somebody when they make their decision. You can see it doesn't matter if it's millennial, Gen X, or baby boomer, same thing. Almost half of those people still want to talk to somebody, okay? Here's the other thing. Now, look, a lot of people don't like cold calling. That's fine. You can call it whatever you want, but the fact of the matter is that there are people that still do take phone calls from people who they do not know for the purposes of finding out more about a business. Now, this is important here, and I want you to look at this. A lot of people get discouraged because, I make 50 calls and I talk to 10 people. Well, that's pretty much the whole rub there, right? You're going to talk to somewhere between a quarter and 30% of the people that you get leads for, and in a minute I'm going to show you that the number of contact attempts is a lot higher than you think. Here's the other thing, though: almost 70% of buyers have accepted phone calls from new providers in the last 12 months. So yeah, you're not going to talk to a lot of people because there's a lot of people that you're going to comb through to get, kiss a frog to find a prince. But the fact of the matter is people are still taking phone calls. Now, look, I'm not a huge fan of leaving voicemails, but I'm going to give you this little tip here that's a gem. If you're going to leave a voicemail for somebody, I prefer that you know them because at least they're going to be more responsive to your message. However, if you want to call somebody and leave a message, it's very simple. Say, hey, Wally calling. Looks like I've missed you. When you get a moment, give me a call back. Here's my number. You will get calls back from that. Or, hey, it's Wally. I missed you. Sorry about that. Hey, give me a call back when you get a chance. They have no idea who you are. How many times have you called somebody and hung up because it was the wrong number, or you hung up by mistake and they call you back to find out who you are? Right? That works. It works really well. Okay. So if you're going to leave a message for somebody that you don't know when you're making a sales call, especially initially, just call and leave your name. Say, I'm sorry that I missed you. Give me a ring. They're going to call back out of sheer curiosity. If you call and say, hey, this is Wally calling, you would put in a request to find out information about a home in Texas, or in Dallas, and I just want to get back to you and let you know, like, they're going to click, right? But leave that curiosity factor there, and I'm telling you that is a gem of a strategy. Okay. Also, this is another thing: 48% of people do not make follow-up calls, and 44% do not make a second follow-up. Okay. Here's the thing: statistically speaking, and this goes all the way back to before, I don't even know, 20 years or more. On average, it's a minimum of 6 to 8 contact attempts to get in touch with somebody to have them talk to you, right? 6 to 8. And these days, because of how crazy things have been, it could be as high as 18, right? But the fact of the matter is 48% of people do not make one follow-up and 44 do not make a second follow-up, which means there's plenty of opportunity there if you want to make those calls. Here's another big one right here, right? 44% of sales reps stop the sale after receiving negative feedback on the first call. Hey, this is Wally calling. I'm just getting back to you with submitted requests for getting information about buying a home in Dallas. Hey, I'm not interested. That would be the equivalent of going, okay, click, and hanging up. Right? With the challenge being that it needs to be 6 or 8. If you do that after 1, you're almost guaranteed to get a whole lot of business from that. Here's another thing: 43% of people change their phone numbers every year. So you have to continually get good updated data to make sure you have a chance of getting in touch with people. That's why it's good to have all kinds of programs out there that do the number crunching for you. We call it what's the word I'm looking for? I'll remember in a minute. But basically, where the data is continually culled and it's updated on a regular basis. Okay, you need systems that do that for you. Okay, so let's talk about Wally Russell's 10 keys to own the phone. So number 1, no matter what you're selling, always work from your financial goal backwards. Right? Number of homes sold, number of policies taken, number of cars sold, number of new clients, all good. Right? But at the end of the day, you're looking to find out how you can take care of your family, build your future, and do the things you want to do for yourself. And that's really predicated on the dollars, right? So figure out how much money you want to make, and then how many sales do I need to make? How many sales is going to require for me to do that? How many clients am I going to need to make that happen? How many appointments do I need to set? How many contacts do I need to make, and how many dials do I need? If you're working with buyers, you're going to need, on average, you're going to need probably around 15 contacts, 12 to 15 contacts to get an appointment. You're going to need 2 appointments to get one client, probably need 2 appointments to get one client. And about 80% of your clients are actually going to do business with you. So you can kind of figure it that way. If you're doing listings, it's somewhere between 50 to 55 contacts to get an appointment. And on average, most people, again, two appointments get you one client. And about 80% of your clients are going to do business with you. So, you really need to know. And those are basic numbers, but you really should track all your numbers, because at the end of the day, sales can be and should be a mathematical certainty, meaning I know out of every 100 leads that I'm going to get this many contacts, this many appointments, this many clients, and this many sales. And the more you track your numbers, the more you can fix what needs to be fixed along the way, so you can increase your conversion rate by talking to fewer people. Everybody's got a conversion number, okay? Some folks need to talk to 15 people. Some people need to talk to 6. Some people need to talk to 20. But as long as you know what that number is, you can literally make a mathematical certainty out of how you're going to build your business and meet your goals by doing that, okay? Next, put a prospecting plan together, okay? You need to put time in your calendar. I have a little plug for my boy Cliff Freeman here from the Cliff Freeman Group. Thank you very much for this nice, yummy mug of water. But, Cliff Freeman, good friend of mine, top producer and revenue share earner in EXP, He talks about making prospecting time non-negotiable. It's a non-negotiable, meaning it's in your calendar. Nothing gets in the way, right? So unless somebody's bleeding or on fire, or you've got some sort of personal commitment that you've made that you absolutely positively cannot move, right? You prospect, because that is that is how your business continues to run. You got to prospect. You need to know who you're calling, when you're calling, why you're calling, what to say. You should be standing up. You should be consistent. Like, you've got to do that on a consistent basis so that you can build that business. Next, I already talked about it being non-negotiable, right? So next, use proven scripts and dialogues. Bill, I don't want to use scripts and dialogues because they make me sound robotic. Okay, the reason they make you sound robotic is because you haven't internalized them. If you internalize a script and make it your own, then it's not going to sound robotic, right? Hey, listen, this is Wally calling. You had submitted a request for information on our website. Looks like you're looking for 5-bedroom, 3-bath homes in Dallas. Just want to find out, are you currently window shopping or are you buying a home now? That's a script. That's exactly pretty much word for word what the script is, but it doesn't sound that way because I've internalized it. You want to have success. You want to guide phone calls. You want to take people in the direction that they need to be taken to make a decision. You have to have scripts and dialogues, and you need to own them at the highest level. Otherwise, you are not going to get progress. And here, look, again, we look at all these people, like people have great success on online, Ricky Carruth, and I'm trying to think here. Some other people, names are escaping me. There's lots of people who are having super success. Tristan Ahumada has a lot of success online. You know what I'm saying? And so, Katie Day, Ken Pozak, lots of folks have tremendous success online. But the fact of the matter is, all those people are also able to pick the phone up and talk to somebody when that opportunity becomes a real opportunity to get that person to come meet with them. Okay? People are going to raise their hands, but you still have to give them a reason to work with you because there are thousands and thousands of real estate agents. And for that matter, any industry, competitors, you got to be able to get people to meet with you, and having a proven script and dialogue is what you do to use that. Make sure you practice like you play, right? People say practice makes perfect. I'm saying that perfect practice makes perfect, right? Repetition is the mother of skill. If you're not role-playing your scripts and dialogues, if you're not role-playing your objection handling, that's a problem. If you've ever played a sport, you know that. I think there's a portion of your brain, I think it's a corpus callosum, I'm not sure, but there's a portion of your brain that actually creates that muscle memory. So if you're swinging a bat, shooting a basketball, if you're a dancer, whatever, there's a part of your brain that gets that muscle memory so that once you do something long enough, it remembers what's happening. And so when you engage in it again, your recall is quick and your results are better. Same thing happens with cerebral activities like learning scripts and memorizing and internalizing things. The more you say the same thing over and over again, the more your brain is going to work on your behalf to create a skill whereby you can eventually recall whatever you need when you're on the phone to talk with somebody. Now, role-playing does not take the place of picking up the phone and making phone calls to really cinch in that success. However, it is an integral part of becoming successful over the phone. Number 6, track your efforts. We talked about that earlier, right? We're looking to make this a mathematical certainty. You got to track your dials, your contacts, your nurtures, your appointment set, and your appointment shown every day. After 30 days, you'll have an idea of what needs to be happened for you to be super successful. After 60 days, you'll have a great idea. And after 90 days, you'll pretty much know exactly what you need to do and where you need to make the changes in order to get the results you want by being on the phone. Find an accountability partner, okay? They say accountability is the highest form of love. When you're willing to hold somebody accountable to do what they said they need to do or want to do, that's really when you're showing somebody you care about them. Find somebody who's an accountability partner. A lot of times we'll do more for somebody else than we will for ourselves. If you can do that for someone else and they can do that for you, automatically you'll both raise the bar for each other and become even more successful. Number 8, know your real why. We're going to talk a little about that later, right? So people think that their why is often what's, right? They're often what's, meaning my kids are a why. They're a what? House, what? Car, what? Money, what? Retirement, book, anything, all a what, right? Your why, first and foremost, is something that's rooted in some sort of pain, a pain that you want to avoid or a pain that you want somebody else to avoid. And then it's about you. You're basically going to contribute something. You contribute X, a letter X, so that you can change the outcome of Y. So your kids may not be a why, but making sure that they have enough money to go to school, get married, get cars because you weren't able to do that. What would you do to make sure that that could happen? So whatever you're willing to contribute to make that happen is your why. And that's how you have to look at your why, is that it's something you can change the outcome over. It's usually rooted in pain, and you have to do something and to contribute something in order to make that happen, okay? Number 9, commit to nurturing your leads. This is where a lot of people miss the boat. And, here's the problem in just about every industry, but specifically in real estate, a lot of it is now business driven, right? You get a lot of people in the real estate industry, they get on the phone, you're looking to buy a house now, you're not okay. They just keep calling and calling and calling and calling. And, on average, your conversion rate on leads, for the most part, unless they're referral business, is going to be up 1 to 3%. So every 100 leads you have, you're going to sell 1 to 3 houses, and it's probably not unlike that in other industries as well. But if you talk to people and you build a relationship with them and you nurture them properly and have subsequent conversations, and you go ahead and have email campaigns and drip campaigns and text message campaigns and all kinds of other things to support that, your conversion rate goes from 1 to 3% to 8%. It's a ginormous increase, right? Because people will more likely take your phone call because they know you. You've got rapport with them, right? Statistically, I'm not quite sure what the numbers are, but nurtured leads buy faster and they make bigger investments. Why? Because they are more well-informed and they trust the person that they're talking with, which allows them to go ahead and make better decisions, bigger decisions, faster decisions than they would if they had to figure things out themselves. And number 10, you have to conquer your sales call reluctance, okay? 40% of existing seasoned agents or salespeople, 80% of new agents suffer from sales call reluctance. 65% of all salespeople have a very, very strong need to be approved and liked. Okay, and what this all means is that they're not willing to get on the phone, or they're afraid to get on the phone because they feel like they're going to be rejected, not approved of, not liked, and it actually just literally in many cases it paralyzes them. So if you have sales call reluctance, you have trouble getting in front of a camera, then you're going to want to pay close attention here. So call reluctance syndrome, simply known as call reluctance, is really where people who don't want to get on the phone and make phone calls. Doesn't matter if they're cold calls or calling past clients in sphere or recruiting. Sometimes it's going and networking and meeting with people face to face. Same thing with getting in front of a video camera to go ahead and record a video about yourself, or to start helping people get to know you or build your brand or your authority. It kills a lot of people. It keeps them from moving forward in their business. And that's why they get really, really huge ups and downs and swings in their business, because they just don't commit to doing things consistently to build that pipeline, to build that business. Now, what does it look like? Well, sometimes it's straight up emotions: fear, embarrassment, shame, anxiety, guilt, panic. Sometimes it's anticipating the worst. Oh, they're not going to want to talk to me. They don't need what I have. It's too late. It's too early, right? Sometimes it's literally just a complete mental block. Like I suffered from call reluctance for 10 years. I got fired from a job when I was 18 because I would not pick up the phone and make a call. I made one sale in a whole summer. So not good, right? And it just keeps you from moving forward. Sometimes we become the over preparer, the getting ready to get ready person. Are you that person? Does your presentation need to be perfect? Your scripts need to be perfect. Your clothes need to be perfect. Everything, right? So anything like that, you're getting ready to get ready. Getting in front of a camera, right? Fear of calling past clients, fear of recruiting. And a lot of times just beating yourself up because you just don't want to get on the phone or can't get on the phone, even though you know you have to. And when you do that, that's what call reluctance is all about. So how do we get call reluctance? Well, here's the thing. It's not this, I don't know how much this weighs. I should really weigh this. It's probably like 4 or 5 ounces, right? But this piece of plastic and metal here, it's not that. What it is there's something that happened from the time you were born until the time you were 12 or 13 that created something that triggered your sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight response. So fight, freeze, or flight. So if you fought when something happened, you acted out, right? Frank Shamrock, basically was a USC fighter, kicked the crap out of people his whole life. His story, his dad was very abusive to him when he was a kid. Lewis Howes, talks about that, huge influencer and business optimist. He talks about that. But a lot of people don't fight back. They're not like, okay, you hurt me, I'm going to fight back and hurt you. What they do is they turn inward, and that's what I did, and what most people who have call reluctance do is they turn inward. They avoid it. They run. Okay, and so you could have had a trauma. It could have been, sex abuse. It could have been physical abuse. It could have been emotional abuse. You could have been beaten at home, like I said. You could have seen somebody die. You could have had a near-death experience yourself. You could have been sick as a child. You could have been lost. I talk to people all the time who got lost for 3 or 4 hours, at a carnival and scared the crap out of them, or they had a sibling that did that. You could have been bullied at home or at school, right? The need for approval is very strong when we're young, and if we're looking for it either at home or at school, because that's where we spend most of our time. And so when somebody bullies us, it really crushes our self-esteem. It crushes our belief in ourselves. It crushes our self-worth. Right? Wanting to be accepted and not being accepted is very painful. So, sometimes we create these hidden identities. We make observations about something, and then we decide that how we're going to be based on that. So let me give you an example. I was poor growing up. I didn't realize I was poor. Nobody said I was poor. We had a car, we had a house, we had food, but we didn't have a lot of money. And so, my parents, we got for lunch. It was usually like a sandwich and an apple or some crackers. I mean, it wasn't a ton of food. And I would go to school and kids would have snack cakes and sodas and drinks and all kinds of things. My I still remember the cowtails, these little candy cowtails. To this day, I've never had one, but I decided that because my lunch wasn't as good as theirs, that I was poor, and I had a poverty consciousness that basically I blew almost $5 million in about 40 years. You know what I'm saying? And so just not good, right? Because I believed that I was poor and that I had a poverty consciousness and I acted accordingly. And sometimes it's a learned belief system, right? If you have parents that are negative, or you have, like, let's just say you had a mom who married the wrong guy a few times and tells you, hey, listen, there's no such thing as a good guy out there, so don't get married. Or, you left the house every day for school and your dad smacked you on the back of the head and said, hey, listen, you know what? Nothing good happens for people in our families. Don't try and go and do anything where you want to achieve something, right? And so any of these things, they trigger that fight or flight response, and then we just literally become avoiders, right? We just stay away from the things that keep us from moving forward. And what happens is it starts as like a little seedling, right? So picture your subconscious mind as mostly like this field of like, and I think, what's his name? Earl Nightingale, not Earl Nightingale. Yes, Earl Nightingale. He calls, our subconscious mind the most fertile soil on the face of the planet that will grow whatever you plant there, right? So if you're planting seeds of doubt, if you're planting lack of self-worth, if you're planting fear, what happens is it gets planted, and every time you experience something that triggers that response, it's like you watering that seed and then pulling the weeds. And as you do it every day, that seed grows into a little seedling, and then into a plant, and then into a bush, and into a bigger bush, and then into like a tiny tree, then a big tree, and then a sequoia tree. And then basically when you're an adult, you pretty much have decided that you're not going to do the thing or anything related to what causes that pain. So when we don't get on the phone, it's not because of the phone, it's because of rejection, because of something happened for the need for approval when we're younger, or whatever it is. And so it gets created over time, and eventually it becomes a huge sticking point for us, right? And so question is then how we deal with it. Well, so the first thing you need to know is that it's not your fault. So if you have call reluctance, if you have fear of getting in front of a camera, if you have fear of calling somebody to recruiting for your business, if you have fear of getting referral business, and I talk to people all the time that said they would rather talk to somebody they didn't know than somebody they did know, because of the fear of letting that person down, or that person thinking less of them. So the fact of the matter, it's not your fault. However, it is your responsibility to fix if you want to fix it and make it better for yourself. So first thing we need to do is go identify the source. We got to find out where it all came from. Easiest thing to do is you can go talk to your subconscious. It sounds hokey, but your brain remembers everything you've ever tasted, everything you've ever touched, everything you've ever seen, everything you've ever heard. All right, everything you've ever tasted, touched, smelled, heard, or felt. Okay, so anything that ever happened, your brain remembers it. So there was something that happened when you were younger, and as you're listening to this and I'm talking to you, your subconscious mind is already going looking for you. Some of you will find out before the end of this video, but there's something that happened that triggered this negative response in your fight or flight response. And then as a result of that, it sent you on a path towards being an avoider, a procrastinator, a perfectionist, a fear-based person. Could have triggered an addiction to make the pain go away. But there's something that happened that caused this to occur. Okay, and you need to go find the source. The easiest way to do that, believe it or not, you go get a couple of 5x7 index cards, and all you write on it is, what is the source of my call reluctance, or what is the source of my inability to get in front of the camera, or what is the source of my perfection or procrastination, whatever it is. Put that on 2 cards. You keep one with you all day. You look at it, you put one next to your nightstand. Most of you are going to find out what it is before the end of the night, the next morning, okay? And then now that you know it, number one, it lets you put your finger on it, so now you know what battle you're fighting, what enemy you're looking to overtake. And number 2, it should give you a tremendous amount of hope, because now you know you can solve the problem that has been plaguing you for the last several years. Once we do that, we have to get into a strategy of what I call awareness, define and identify, and then mindfulness. And so what do I mean by that? Well, here's what happens. T. Harv Eker, okay, he talks about, calls it TFAR, right? He's a Canadian personal development expert. He calls it TFAR, so it's thoughts, feelings, actions, results, right? So you get a thought, you get a trigger. That creates a feeling. That feeling then creates an action. Sometimes that action is inaction, and then we get a result, okay? For a lot of people, especially people who are addicts, people who have, serious procrastination or perfectionism issues, we go right from thought to action. We skip over the feeling. Oh, I'm triggered, I'm going to drink. Oh, I'm triggered, I'm going to eat. Oh, I'm triggered, I'm going to do a drug. And we just totally bypass that emotion. If you want to go ahead and defeat this enemy, so to speak, you want the solution, what we need to do is we need to go and become aware when the feeling comes up. So it happens, and a lot of times we get a physical response. I mean, for me, when I get anxious, I start pushing my toes into the ground or to my bottom of my shoes, and I can feel it, and that tells me something's going on in the background. So Once you can identify what the cause of the problem is, eventually the feelings are going to come up and you're going to be aware that they're happening. And then you've got to define what those feelings are, identify them, and then work on becoming mindful or becoming present, which is a matter of just focusing on what's going on right now. Right? We focus on the future, we get anxious, we get fearful. Focus on the past, we get sad, depressed. But if I'm focusing on what's going on right now and just focusing on my breathing and not letting thoughts come in, I'm going to go ahead and be able to let that feeling come up and pass and be able to move on. And that's really the biggest gift I could ever give you, because when you can do that, these nasty emotions that are hurting you get to come up because it's what they need to do. And then you process them and don't let them take root and then send them on their way. And that's when you can really start to feel some great results. Then you got to reprogram your brain for success. Interestingly enough, the same strategy to reprogram your brain for success is the same strategy that we've used since we were children to program the negativity, the sadness, the pain. Right? Unfortunately, when we're kids, our brains are like little savings accounts, but nobody teaches us how to make a withdrawal. So people put in all kinds of negative stuff. And then the emotions come up and we just let them take root and do what they need to do. We've got to go ahead and reprogram our brain and train our brain that when these feelings come up, to acknowledge them and let them go. We've got to change what we say to ourselves. We've got to change what we believe about ourselves. We've got to focus on what we want. And by doing that, we can change the negative programming that we've had into positive programming so we can become the person that we want to be, so we can do the things we want to do. Okay, you've been doing it your whole life. It's just a matter of standing guard at the door of your mind and deciding what comes in and what comes out and being very deliberate as to what goes in and making it as positive as possible. After that, we got to figure out what drives us. What I found, excuse me one second. So what I found is that it's hard for us when we're running away from pain, when we're focusing on, what we don't want in life. It's really hard for us to think about what we want and what drives us and get excited about things. It's really hard to think about an exciting future when we're focusing on a very painful past and actually very painful present. So once we make some space in our head for that, we can start thinking about what drives us, right? And then what drives us, and Daniel Pink says there's 3 things that will keep us motivated for a long term, which is number 1, figure out what we want, and then what do we have to master to make that a reality? Mastery takes 10,000 hours, I say. It takes a long time, right? You want to become a millionaire, there's lots of things you have to master, not just related to working, but working and making the money, but also managing the money, about investing the money, about the emotional aspect of growth. There's lots of things you have to master. And then autonomy, which is basically, what does it look like when I can make the decisions I need to make in order to create this millionaire lifestyle for myself? And then lastly, the purpose, and we talked about that before. So mastery, autonomy, and purpose are the 3 foundational elements of creating and determining what exactly is going to drive you to keep moving forward forever. And then lastly, we go ahead and find our true why, right? And so these 5 criteria or strategies are what I take all my clients through so they can get to the point of where they're able to pick up the phone or get in front of a camera and overcome all kinds of challenges that have been plaguing them for decades. I have one of my clients is 71. He was able to figure some things out and really clear his head. So all I'm saying is this is possible. Again, it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to resolve if you want great things for yourself. But if you put the time and energy in and what you want, you can make it happen. And, I've had this process take, it's an 8-week program I take you through, but some people are able to get on the phone in like 2 and 3 weeks. So it's pretty amazing. But those are the things you need to do in order to be able to get yourself from not being able to get on the phone or in front of a camera to be able to get on the phone and get in front of a camera and feel good about it. Okay. So we talked about it earlier. This is my book, Tragic Hero. Talks a lot about my story, and I've said it a bunch of times, but all the things that I've overcome in the past, overcome sales call reluctance, self-sabotage, and all kinds of other terrible decisions I've made. It's available on Amazon. If you really want to see what it takes to overcome some tough challenges in life, this book will really give you an inside look at all the things that I did to overcome 45 years of literally ruining my life and lots of other people's lives. I offer everybody a 15-minute free consultation. I will not sell you anything on it. If you want some help identifying where your call reluctance or video reluctance comes from, your self-sabotage, your procrastination, your perfectionism, you can go to this website here. You can go ahead and register for a free 15-minute call with me. I'll take you through it and help you identify what it is. I will not sell you anything. If you want to talk about what I do, great. But my goal is to help you identify what it is that's keeping you from enjoying an incredible life for yourself, and then, going from there. And then I'm going to leave you with this, right? This is from the movie The Punisher from Marvel. It says you can hide your identity, but you can't hide who you are. So you can put up a wall and you can hide people from, what from what you want them to think about you. But at the end of the day, you can't hide from yourself and who you are. So anyway, that's really it for today. I don't know if we have any questions. We got some people here today. If you have any questions, please go ahead and put them here. I'm in, my phone sales secrets group on Facebook. If you're not in it, go join it. It's just Facebook. Go to Phone Sales Secrets and join it. I put lots of motivational stuff up. I talk to people regularly. If you have any questions or need anything, come and join me. All I'm saying is wherever you are today, if you're not living the life you want, if you're not enjoying the sales career that you want, if you're not getting the results you want, you can change whatever it is that's making that happen. And you can change it faster and easier than if you ever wanted to. But the first step is to go find out what the problem is, then decide you want to take care of it. If you're willing to do that, you can change everything, and like I said, you can do it faster and easier than ever before. Anyway, that is all that I have for you today. If you're watching this on delay, on recording, please go ahead and put a comment in and just tag me in it, and I'll be sure to answer all your questions. If you want, you can hit me up on my Facebook DM. And most importantly, if you want to talk, grab some time by going to phonesalesecrets.com and let's hop on the phone and talk, okay? We'll see you next Friday for our next session on emotional mastery. Until then, have a great weekend. Talk to you soon. Hey there, this is Wally Russell, and on behalf of my guest today, I'd like to thank you for joining us for this episode of On the Phone. If you'd like more information on how to overcome sales call reluctance, procrastination, and self-sabotage, and become an expert on the phone, go to www.phonesalesecrets.com. And if you'd like my free course on how to overcome sales call reluctance, please go to www